So I'm here with my buddy Time, who has maybe the most unique playstyle that I've played with out of anyone that has been one of my trials partners for the past, I don't know, a couple of years, I guess, at this point. I've played with him and my friend Fallout a few times now, and out of anyone I've played with, I feel like he has one of probably the highest win percentages when it comes to 1v3s. And he has a very unique playstyle using particular weapons and a subclass that some people love and some people hate. And so I thought it'd be fun to share it with you guys and just kind of give you some insights into how he approaches Destiny, because I think it's very unique and cool to experience. So, Time, I want to start out by showing your most used weapons here to give people an idea of how many kills you have put into these bad boys.
And then, more than a bit.
Yeah, I'll let you take it over now. How do you like to use this combo with your subclass?
Yeah, so one of my main weapons that I use is Biting Winds, and the reason I use Biting Winds specifically is because it's the only precision frame bow in the game at the moment that has Swashbuckler. And for a lot of people don't realize that Swashbuckler, when it's procced, will be able to one-shot, headshot any Resilience Guardian for 5 seconds after a melee kill with refreshes. So when I realized that this thing had Swashbuckler and it could one-shot, I made it a goal to farm as much as possible until I finally got it. And luckily it was pretty easy to do it since it's just a repeatable bounty from Varix on Europa. But it took me quite a bit of time to finally get it, but the role that I was looking for was a elastic string and a draw time asterisk to bring the draw time down to 576, which is the lowest that any precision frame in the game can get. And you really need that 576 to fight against current weapons in the meta right now and against like really fast playing players. And then I have a fiberglass arrow shaft, which is just to increase that accuracy, since bows have always kind of been a little bit wacky in the air when it comes to accuracy, but I find fiberglass helps just a little bit. And the next perk is moving target, which increases your strafe speed, and I find that really helpful for when I'm corner peeking. And then also increases the target acquisition. So if I'm trying to flick shot on someone really, really fast to get that one headshot, moving target can help in just a bit if I'm maybe off center, just a little bit, which is fantastic for Swashbuckler when you're getting those headshot after headshot after headshots. And so, yeah, I've been using this Biting Winds for the past, ever since Beyond Light pretty much came out. And it is by far, in my opinion, one of, if not the best bows in the game. Lemon Arc has always kind of had that top position, but that's because of the damage over time. And even if you look at the trial stats from before Lemon Arc kind of got a little bit of a nerf to now, Lemon Arc was like 900,000 kills in a single trials match with like a total of 1.2 million bow kills. And it had like over 90% of all the kills. And now, since Lemon Arc has kind of been nerfed a little bit, bows are sitting like around 300,000 or so. So I'm hoping people kind of broaden out to try other bows and realize, like, holy crap, this is really good if you build around it. And that's kind of what you need to build around, Swashbuckler, because bows by themselves can be a little bit difficult to use. They can be annoying, I agree. It's a lot of damage for one shot, for a body shot. But when you consider how certain players play, you can get around that so easily, and just bows by themselves can be difficult to use, which is why I specifically like to use it with a swap build with Eriana's Vow. Eriana's Vow is a really, really unique hand cannon in the sense that its body shot damage, its potential is staggering when you combine it with a bow. With Death at First Glance, which activates when you aim down sights near instantly. There's almost like a delay when you aim down sights for it to pop up on the screen, but it's instant. It ups the body shot damage to around 101. And so when a precision frame bow can do 101 to the body, and then Eriana's Vow on the first shot can do 101 to the body, that's 10 resilience instant kill, you know? And so it's a very, very fast time to kill. You just have to get around Eriana's Vow's slow swap speed because of its handling. Which is why I like to use it with a fitting aspect and double hand cannon dexterities, and at least one hand cannon targeting. It's really important for the ADS speed, so you can reset your aim.
Yeah, that's cool. I was so excited to see that you were using the biting winds because that was actually one of the first weapons I covered back in Beyond Light, because I realized that with Swashbuckler you could one tap, and then my friend Shadow and I were both kind of goofing around with it. I remember he hit a seventh column with the Swashbuckler going like within the first like day of having it, and I ended up making a video about it. But I was like, oh my gosh, this bow has so much potential. But I never really saw many people using it. It was like I always thought it had potential.
I don't know. I don't know why.
I've never been like a huge bow user myself, but I was like, man, if I ever really got into it, that would be the bow that I'd want to master, because it just seems like it just has so much potential.
I'm not kidding when I say I've seen this bow once or twice in 2 years on the enemy team. I quite literally never see this bow ever, and it's astonishing given how powerful Swashbuckler is with it. The new bow, I think it's called Strident Whistle. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, you got me. I don't know.
Let's see. Sorry about that. I want to make sure I'm not getting their name wrong. Yeah, it's called Strident Whistle. That bow can get Adrenaline Junkie, and with that, I believe it does the same amount of bonus damage as Swashbuckler does. But the bonus of Swashbuckler is you don't need to use your charged melee. You know, Adrenaline Junkie requires a grenade kill. You get that one grenade kill, well, you're down a grenade. Yes, you got a kill, but you're down a grenade, and you can't do it again until you get another grenade back. Swashbuckler, you know, charged, uncharged melee, it doesn't matter. So it opens it up. It's a little more risky because you have to get a melee. But when you use certain builds, and how many builds there are in this game for just melees, it's nowhere near impossible to make just a plentiful amount of combos that just work so well. And I specifically found one that, for me, as someone who does trials helps every so often, it really, really helps lock down those 1v3 or 1v2 situations where I'm using two long-range, high-damage weapons, but they're both long-range. So when I have multiple people rushing me really, really fast, I need something to be able to get out of that. You know what I mean? And I find the Shadebinder subclass to be incredibly powerful ever since it came out. And it's crazy to me that I don't even see Shadebinder that much ever. It honestly, in my opinion, I think it really is the best 1v3 subclass in the game, just because of Frost Pulse and the melee.
Yeah, I wouldn't have believed it until I watched how you use it, and now actually, after seeing so many 1v3s where me and whoever we're playing with are dead, and then you end up pulling off the win out of nowhere, I'm starting to believe it. It definitely has a lot of big playmaking potential.
It really does require you to play with your radar very well, and you got to understand the radar so you know when to use the Freeze Rift. I like to use it aggressively. So if I know someone's around a corner, or if I see a Titan behind a barricade and they're just sitting there, they're just waiting for me to make the move. Normally, most people would just go out of the way, relocate, find a different position. I go, well, you know what? If I just sprint around that corner and do that slide rift cast that you can do, I'm going to freeze them almost every single time, because you're in a slide animation. So, you know, it's harder for them to hit you. But then right when you're done with that slide animation, it's a freeze. So rather than using the rift or as a healing rift or an empowering rift for extra damage, I pretty much use my rift as a shotgun. My rift is my shotgun. So if someone's chasing me down and I see that radar, the outer area of the radar is pinging, okay, they're a little far away, then the inner radar is pinging, oh shoot, that means they're getting really close to me. I time it and I try to like predict when they're going to be on me, or I'll see them pushing up with me with a shotgun. And I've learned the cast distance of the rift over the period of Beyond Light coming out, that I'm almost like with 90% confidence or effectiveness able to freeze them every single time. And so it's become my shotgun counter in a way, and it's so powerful.
I find it so interesting because I feel like what you've done is you've taken the biggest disadvantage of a rift and basically made it an advantage. Like if you think about how most warlocks play with a rift, like they'll take it and kind of lane with it. They'll put it like, you know, pretty far away down around a corner, and a big part of that is they don't want to get caught in the animation of casting the rift and dying because you're sort of immobilized and very vulnerable during that window. However, if you're using a freeze rift, you can literally use it and freeze people when you're in that most vulnerable state, and so all of a sudden that turns into a pretty big advantage.
Oh yeah, it turns games around. I the amount of times that I've managed to turn Trials matches around just because of a well placed freeze rift is incredible. And one of the things I absolutely love doing with it, I like to bait revives with the freeze. So if I get someone down, like right around this corner, right, and I hear that revive happening, I'll usually try crouching around where that corner is, so I'm off the radar. And the moment I hear that revive going, I start sprinting and I do this. And now I froze both the person who got revived and the person who was reviving, and I can kill them both with the one melee because of the shatter from the melee will instant kill someone, I think, within 3 meters if they're also frozen. One of the clips that I sent you, I wiped an entire Trials team from that. I killed one, and then I hit around the corner till they were both standing on the revive trying to get it. I just ran right at them, and I slid. And there, I think you have like a 15 or 20% damage reduction in your cast of your Rift. So you can survive 2 melees during your Rift cast.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then, of course, if you get the melee with your bow out, then you have a one-shot bow for a few seconds too, right? So
yeah. It's really insane. Like, I absolutely love the capabilities you can do with this subclass, and I seriously want to see more people playing around with it more, because its potential is immense. I know there's some builds that, or some subclasses that are kind of more relaxed. They're more straightforward. They're very effective. This one does take a little bit of managing your abilities, because you don't want to just use it just to use it. Like my Duskfield, on my build right now, I only have a tier 1 discipline, but Duskfield charges so fast. It's only 1 minute and 12 seconds. So I never really use my Duskfield as all right, I'm just going to throw it over there for no reason. If you're down right there, and your ghost is sitting there and I'm far away and we don't want someone to get that revive, Duskfield with I think it's the Whisper of Durance fragment will increase its timer. So I'll just throw a Duskfield on the revive, and that gives us a free 7 seconds of nobody being able to get that ghost. So that's specifically what I use Duskfield for, and really nothing else. Other than maybe if I want to prevent someone from running away when I cast my super, because Shadebinder is a very slow super. So catching up with people can sometimes be a drag. I'll usually throw a Duskfield and then immediately cast my super. That way, by the time I reach you, you're not going to be able to get away from the super.
That's a good little tip.
Yeah, so one of the things that I like to use with the melee, other than kind of using it as its own little shotgun as well, I play on a controller, so I bound my melee to double tap R2. Since I use a bow, I only hold R2 down. I never have to worry about double tapping it by accident. And so I like to use the melee to free someone who's like maybe around like a corner here really fast into a melee. But one thing that I always tell people who play the Shadebinder class to get good with is timing that melee to either a ghost revive, because that is an instant free team shot kill right there. The moment you see that ghost getting revived, you throw the melee towards the ghost. You're freezing both the person who got revived and the person who's reviving, just like the freeze rift when you push into them. But it's safer because you can do it at distance. But the other thing is, the reason I use Eriana's Vow, and you can still do this with like a special ammo sniper, but for me specifically, the reason I like to combo this with Eriana's Vow is if you freeze a super with the freeze melee, you can double headshot them with Eriana's Vow, even if you don't have any teammates nearby with you to do team damage. So whenever there's a super that gets casted, instead of running away, I try my best to look at the radar, understand where they are, and where I am in the map. That way I can maybe bait them into like a straightaway, so they only have one option, and that's to come towards me. And so the moment they're in that line of sight, if you freeze a super, you can double headshot them with Eriana's, and then it'll leave them with like 1 to 10 health left. And then you can pretty much team shot them immediately after that. So if I'm freeze with the melee, I can double headshot you. And in that case, it killed you because your resilience, the damage reduction was not as high. So there are some supers in the game where you can double headshot just with Eriana's. If you're not able to two-shot headshot with Eriana's Vow, then you can team shot really easily to finish off the remaining health of most supers. So if I freeze and I double headshot there, it leaves you with maybe, what is that, like 20, 25 health left or so?
Yeah, probably something like that.
Yeah, any two hand cannon shots, one other bow shot or body shot or something, sniper body, anything ends up killing. So there's a lot of play for team potential. The other thing I like to do to combat supers, this was way more effective back before the Empowering Rifts got the damage reduction. I was able to headshot with Eriana's Vow into a melee and kill any super in the game. But since the Empowering Rift has been reduced in its damage potential, you do need a little bit of damage beforehand. But if you cast your super real fast, and let's just pretend one of my teammates got a slight bit of damage on you, I'll run up and I'll cast my Rift and Eriana's into a melee. And so that'll kill you. So you really only need a slight amount of damage on a super that's chasing you, just a bit. And I can bait the supers around a corner and then freeze them and then combo that as fast as possible, and usually ends up with the kill.
That's so powerful, especially for trials, to be able to shut down a roaming super. Like that's awesome.
It's insane. Yeah. Instead of running away and hoping they don't kill you, you specifically play it to bait them around the corner,
Unfortunately, everyone runs bubbles now, but that's a different story.
Actually, with a bubble, Shadebinder is probably, in my opinion, one of the best bubble counters as well.
Really? What is that?
Yep. There is a thing you can do where if you cast your super and you fly above the bubble and you fall into it while throwing your melee, the ranged freeze down, your staff and your legs will go through the top of the bubble before your head does. And you'll freeze everyone inside the bubble, even if they have barricades in there to prevent you from hitting them. And then all it takes is just one blast and they're dead instantly. Additionally, the other thing I love to do with the bubbles, I don't think we did it when I played with you in Fallout, but you can ask Fallout. I've done this so many times when we've played trials. If someone has a bubble on the flag, what I will always do when I have my super is I'll tell my other two teammates to wrap around and go from the opposite direction while I cast my super and just wait. And I just wait and I don't go anywhere. I just wait around a corner and I tell them to push into them and get their attention. While their attention is off of them, I quickly go inside and I freeze them and I pop and they're dead. It's happened so many times. It's incredibly powerful as a counter for bubbles as well. Well of Radiance was changed, so you can't freeze players who are affected by Well of Radiance. However, you can freeze the actual sword that's in the ground. And I believe it only takes like 3 pops of the sword to break it. But after that, you kill whoever else is inside the Well of Radiance. So it's such a good versatile counter for pretty much every super in the game. This isn't just a Shadebinder tip. This is pretty much a tip for every single super in the game that has a throne-based projectile.
Right.
So Dawnblade, Hammer. With a lot of supers, since you go into third person, it shifts your camera over to the right. So that kind of changes the position of where projectiles will come out of the screen. So your body will be more to the left, but the projectile is still coming out from the center of your screen. So what I like to do as a Shadebinder, if you've played Shadebinder before, the moment you cast your super, you've got a sniper pretty much on you at all times because the Shadebinder moves so slow and is very predictable to tell where they're going to come from. So when I play trials, I'm always looking out for snipers if they're on the enemy team because it's pretty much usually going to be, okay, I'm dead. However, if you recognize the fact that you can throw your projectiles around corners, what I like to do is I know the sniper is going to be watching and looking out for me. So when I'm in my super, if you position yourself right around a wall where your staff, just your hand and your staff are around the corner, you can still throw your freeze around the corner, but the snipers cannot headshot you. And this works for every single projectile super. And so from Patty's perspective, you can't see my head. You can maybe only see my hand, but I can still freeze and then shatter you, even if you're sitting in your sniper.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That is such a powerful tip. And like you were saying, it also works for every other projectile-based super too.
Dawnblade is a little bit on the weird side because there's different thrown combos. Like, if you keep on spamming the Dawnblade, you throw it from the right side, but then your sword does a cross to the other side. So if you do it with Dawnblade, you do have to, I think, throw the first sword and then give it a moment to reset the animation, and then throw the next one if you didn't kill them, or else that second shot is just going to hit the wall next to you. It works just best with Shadebinder, just because all of the freeze bolts always come from the right side of the screen here. I guess I can talk about my the way that I maximize Shadebinder's cooldown. I think Shadebinder used to be a tier 1, which was the longest cooldown, and then they moved it, I think, to tier 2 now. But even at tier 2, it can take a long time for Shadebinder to come back. But one of the nice things about the Stasis subclass is it has a fragment where if you defeat frozen targets, it grants you super energy. It's the Whisper of Bonds. That pairs so incredibly well with my playstyle, because my whole point is to get aggressive freeze rifts and melee freeze people. So I'm double dipping on, one, the melee damage or the melee kill giving me super energy, and then that fragment giving me extra super energy because they were frozen. To push this even further, I combine it with double distribution and a single dynamo. Distribution will give all of your abilities super energy, but that includes your super as well. And then dynamo will give your super energy. So when you cast your rift next to someone, you're getting super energy from dynamo, from distribution. And then if you manage to kill them, you're getting super energy from the kill, and you're getting super energy from the fragment. So I timed it of how many freeze rifts kills it takes for me to get my super, and it's only 5. I only need to freeze people 5 times to get my super. That's 5 kills that are frozen. Now, obviously, in like a trials environment, that doesn't happen as many times as you would hope or as easily as it sounds. But because distribution and dynamo work through walls, even if you don't get the freeze or you don't get the kill, you're still getting free super energy from just doing it. And so I find with the Hunter intellect, I'm getting my super pretty much first every single team I play.
That was amazing to me when we played, because we were often playing against like bubble titans and ones that come up really early. I was playing Blade Barrage a lot. And you were consistently being the first one to a super, despite being one of the longer supers to charge. So I can attest to how fast that really works. And I think it plays really well, especially against passive teams who like to sit around corners and wait for you to make a move, because you can basically play off of that if you can get close enough to be proccing it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been pretty much a godsend for zone trials.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whenever you have a Well of Radiance or a bubble that get their super immediately, you're like, shoot, we lost the round. But yeah, with the way I play this specifically for the freeze rifts, getting those freeze kills, that fragment works even just for the regular freeze melee on a freeze kill. It gets your super so fast, and in situations like that where you need your super, it comes in handy like that. It's so nice. For anyone that wants to get into bows in Crucible, there's 2 very, very specific things that you need to understand, and one of them you need to learn. One of them is draw canceling. So when you hold down the fire button on the bows, you draw the arrow back. And then when you tap the reload button, you draw the arrow back to its base level. However, it's not instant. So if you're holding the fire button down and you tap the reload button and then you hold the fire button again, you'll see what's happening here is I'm putting the arrow down, but then re-knocking it. Now, if you just tap it very, very quickly, what you can do is pretty much have 100% perfect draw for max damage at all times. And you'll see it is incredibly powerful, because that means you no longer need Ophidian, I think it's called Oathkeepers, to keep perfect draw on bows. And so if you're using Wishender, you don't need Oathkeepers anymore to have 100% wall hacks, basically. If you're using Lemon Arc, you no longer need Oathkeepers in order to get that poison damage on the arrow. So it really opens up your build potential to use other exotics other than just Oathkeepers. And it is very, very important, because bows lose damage the longer you hold down the fire button. So if you're able to learn how to quickly and effectively draw reload canceling by just holding the aim button, tapping reload, and then immediately holding the aim button again right after you tap the reload, you'll pretty much always have perfect aim or perfect draw at all times.
Yeah, that's a great tip. That was I got made fun of when I did a hunter tier list for exotic armor a long time ago because I made that comment about Oathkeepers, and people were like, "Oh, Oathkeepers, you ranked it too low," because I think I put it like F tier or something. So I was like, you can basically get the effect for free
F tier at this point.
Yeah, so people were unhappy about that, but.
Yeah, I mean, I won't lie. Using Oathkeepers for Lemonarch and Wishender, it makes your job easier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't have to worry about it. But I still think reload canceling is one of the most important things you need to learn how to do on a bow. If you're not using Oathkeepers, which in my opinion you really shouldn't. I mean, Titans and Warlocks can't. So in my opinion, you need to learn how to do it. It's very, very powerful. And the second tip is what I don't think a lot of people know. It's a little bit of a on the side, you don't really realize it thing, but bows kind of have built-in autoloader. So if you shoot an arrow and immediately swap to your other weapon and you swap back to your bow, it reloads while you're pulling out the bow. So you don't actually waste that time reloading, which is why swap builds are so effective, because why wait for that reload when you can swap to another weapon and then swap back to the bow and have another arrow ready to go immediately. One of them that I find actually incredibly effective with the bow swapping is, I think it's called Wolftone Draw.
Wolftone Draw, yeah.
Yeah, Wolftone Draw with Sturm, because Wolftone can get Harmony. And so Sturm, I'm honestly amazed more people don't use it. I feel like it's like the best 120 in the game. At the moment, for Crucible, it just feels incredibly sticky, and its range is insane, and its handling is insane. Its stability, everything about it is just insane. But if you combo it with the Wolftone Draw with Harmony, it gets pretty stupid.
Yeah, absolutely.
how effective it is, because you basically extend that body shot damage for Sturm. I guess maybe one of the bonuses, or one of the things I can talk about for bows, is for people to understand that a bow body shot from a precision frame does 101, and your melee does like 100, 101 as well. So the way I like to use bows in close range is I'll have the hip fire ready to go, and if someone pushes up near me, I'll try and body shot them real quick and then follow up immediately with a melee. You can get the timing on the release of the bow and the melee cast so tight that it's almost like you glitch killed them. It's really, really weird.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, it's like having a shotgun.
Yeah, it's pretty much it's pretty much like having a shotgun, and it works with Eriana's Vow as well, because Eriana's Vow on a body shot ADS, it does 101. If someone's going towards you, you can aim down real fast and then just get a body shot and then follow up with a melee immediately. So even though they are long range weapons and they are slow weapons, in a pinch where you need them to come in handy immediately as close range weapons, your melee is your best friend for both of them.
Whenever we're doing these and I'm just talking to people, I have this like subconscious habit of just like practicing my tracking game, just like watching people go back and forth. It's actually something I enjoy a lot, but
it's like the Destiny 2 version of Osu.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Kovacs in game, just like watch someone walk back.
Hey, you're aim training, right?
I do it every once in a while. In the open, I'll do it on blueberries. I'll just like watch someone. I'll just like see how perfectly I can track them back and forth.
I mean, like, you gotta, if you want to improve at the game, you gotta do more than just play. It's what I find the biggest tip to give people is treat PvE as PvP sometimes. Practice your aiming. Go for headshots. Don't go for bodies. Go for headshots. Practice your laning where you are. You're going to look stupid in a strike with two other randoms looking at you, wondering why you're playing a strike like Lake of Shadows like you're playing Trials round 7, but ultimately you're going to be improving yourself in both game modes. You're going to be looking at the map more, to do.
I do the same thing, and a lot of times, especially like early on before I got like really into aim training, I would do that in the EDZ. I would like sweat my butt off running around trying to like slide snipe like dregs and like play like corners and just try pretend it's a PvP game and like work on how fast can I like shoot one and then flick to the next one, and
then the next one,
yeah, it's actually a pretty good little aim trainer built in, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think hitboxes in PvE are a little bit bigger too, so they're more forgiving.
Yeah,
but like that's the whole point. You got to start somewhere, and PvE is a great place to do it because new players immediately jumping into PvP can be a little bit daunting.
Yes,
especially with how long people have played and current weapons that they don't have. Like you don't want to get scared off immediately, and so PvE, is funny enough a fantastic PvP trainer if you use it properly. If you actually pay attention and do that specifically so you can improve in PvP, it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Ticuu time.
Ticuu time. Yeah. So one of the builds that I put together that I wanted to show that currently works with Solar 3.0, it's really, really good with Ticus. I mean, I won't say it's the most effective thing in terms of, you're going to be wiping every lobby, but you're going to be doing things that people are going to, I've gotten messages going like, how the hell did you just do that? Ticus, its ability is when you use a hipfire and you just tap it, it sends these auto tracking arrows towards any enemy that you're pretty much on your screen. It'll just go straight towards them. And then if you aim down sights with it and you get a headshot, it will explode and instant kill them if they still are affected by that 5-second timer from the hipfire. Well, with the current Radiant buff on a Hunter, if you just have Radiant and then you hipfire someone, you can body shot kill them with Ticus, and you no longer need a headshot. And when you combine it with the fragment, let me see, powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. Ember of Torches, that's just another way to get radiant. Ember of Empyrean, solar weapon, final blows, you want to extend that radiant, so that's what it's going to do. Radiant, Ember of Solace increases radiance duration, so you're just increasing how much time you have to basically be body shotting people with Ticus. And then Ember of Searing, scorched targets, grants melee energy. That's pretty much just for getting your melee back so you can get that extra radiant just in case you need it. And the additional thing that I love about Ticus on the Hunter Solar 3.0 subclass, I do have to kill you 2 more times here in order to get it procced, but I think it's called let's see what it's called again. Sorry about this. Gunpowder Gamble.
Yeah, Gunpowder Gamble is just a gunpowder build.
Yeah. The amazing, hilarious thing about it is the actual hipfire for Ticus will track the grenade in the air. And so what I like to do is, if you come down to the center here, whenever you show up, I'll use this corner over here. Actually, go to the other side over here. Like stand, I'd say right on that corner there.
Okay.
If you're standing there and I hipfire you with Ticus, I like to throw the grenade and then aim around a corner and then flick to the right, and it auto tracks the grenade.
Oh, that's great. That's so good.
It's hilarious. When you get it working in a PvP match, people will go like, "How you didn't even shoot?" It's so funny because normally with the grenade, you need line of sight and you need to shoot it, or it needs to hit someone directly. But yeah, no, just simply being able to aim at it with the hipfire and then just get around corner and then just peek around that corner with or turn your camera so the arrows curve around the corner and instantly blow it up it's just hilarious.
Yeah, that's great.
Before I go, I just wanted to show off one more build that I have found a lot of success with lately, especially after they changed the special ammo pickups for glaives to give you more than just one shot now on a special pickup. The Enigma, in my opinion, is the best glaive in the game at the moment because it can reach a range of 90. And when you combine that with Impulse Amplifier, the shots travel fast enough to actually be semi-usable in PvP. And so if you combine that with Unstoppable Force, it buffs the damage from, I believe, around 125 within its range to 176 or around those numbers. It's very, very close to those numbers. And why that's so incredibly powerful with this build that I've been using is Arc Souls just by themselves shoot, I think they're like 3 bolts that do around 10, 11 damage or so. If you combine that with Getaway Artists, it shoots 5 of them. and each 5 do 11 damage. And so when you're doing 176 damage with one single shot on the glaive, you only really need 1 at low resilience, or 2 usually, or just 3 at max of those arc soul shots to hit someone in order for it to just instantly delete them. And so what I've been doing a lot lately is I'll get 1 shot on someone just to charge the glaive, and then I'll cast the arc soul. Oop, I should probably block this real fast. I did not want that to happen.
It's too powerful.
Too powerful, yes. But if we're playing as if we're fighting right now, you're going to be pushing up towards me, and then you're going to be trying to shoot me. And then I'm going to block. You're going to shoot me once. And because you shot me once and that Arc Soul just tapped you once or twice during that entire time, I have 75% damage reduction. You can't kill me. My Arc Soul hits you only once or twice. And all I need to do is just follow up with one shot from the Enigma.
Yeah.
Yep. In order to like instantly take you down.
That's cool. I was so excited when I saw it. Well, I was both excited and terrified when I figured out how the Unstoppable Force worked. Because I was like, someone's going to figure out how to make a really annoying PvP build out of this.
It's
very hard to
so funny how powerful it is. When I'm playing controls, I'll love to pick a corner where the spawns are and just have a rift and just sit behind like a corner here, and then just everyone will just funnel towards you, and you just block and shoot them once every single time. It's so much fun. There's a few other perks you can get on some of the glaives, like Surrounded. I believe Surrounded will allow the shot just to one shot, but that requires, I think, 3 people to be next to you, and that's not always as feasible. But with this build, you're pretty much taking down teams. As long as the glaive, actually does damage through the server,
yeah,
or charges your shield. But when that happens, it's fantastic. It's a very fun build that I really think more people should give a shot, and they're 100% going to get hateful messages because of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a lot of fun.
Drew keeps telling me that when he's scrimming with the badass boys like Cammy and Glow and all the savage people who you wouldn't want to scrim against because they're too good. He does mention that they really feel that at the top level that in the hands of an expert, glaives are borderline broken in PvP. But I keep waiting for someone to break out of the scrim bubble and use it in a way where it becomes mainstream, because every time I go into trials or any form of PvP, I never see glaives, even when I'm on flawless card game whatever. No one never see glaive anywhere.
I keep waiting for it to see more people using it, because I feel the same. I think it has a lot of potential. I just think that it's either, I don't know if it's the consistency issue of it, where they're kind of funky, or if it's a learning curve thing, or the right build piece hasn't been introduced to the game yet that completes the puzzle and makes them really viable in the more mainstream. But I agree. I feel like there's some potential out there.
There's definitely potential, and they keep telling me about it, but it's
I'm not seeing
it. I'm not seeing it.
I mean, I honestly do think the reason why you don't see it is just because the weird. I don't know if it's a network issue or if it's just the hit detection on the glaives, but there is something wrong with the way that the glaives register, because 50% of the time, 40% of the time, I'll hit someone and either deal no damage or no visual damage. I've noticed that when I've hit people twice, the first time it looks like they took no damage at all, but then the second shot will instant kill them. And I think it's because it does deal damage, but the server doesn't show that it did damage. And then other times it won't deal damage at all, or it won't charge the shield, or the shield would get charged, but you dealt actual no damage. It's really... If they just fix that, I do seriously see Glaives as being a really good top contender. But until then, I don't think it's that big of an issue.
Yeah, probably. I think it's people just have there's a bit of a learning curve, and people have such extreme, the way you're telling me right now, the build that you put together. It's it sounds like we've talked about it before. It's a good build on paper, but it's so many moving pieces. It's I think the average person would rather just be or I could just hit the trigger one time with a shotgun and get a kill.
Yeah, but when my glaive absorbs your entire shotgun,
your build.
What are you gonna do then?
Really good upscale potential, but just people just be lazy, bro. And it's that sounds like a lot of work to do.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think about accuracy on bows? Is that the stat to worry about or not really worth caring about?
This is a good topic to go in real fast about why I prefer precision frames over lightweight frames and pretty much any PvP content. Other than Ticуу's. Ticуу's is really the only lightweight frame that I would use because its ability to one-shot body into a headshot that has tracking. But lightweight frames have an incredible lack of accuracy. And what that translates into is absolutely terrible in-air accuracy and really low aim assist range. I've noticed with lightweight frames at longer ranges, those headshots just seem to not be happening very well at all. And when I'm jumping in the air and trying to get jump shots with lightweight frames, there's just something about them that just does not feel good at all. I feel like because precision frames naturally have high accuracy, it does help make them feel stickier at longer ranges and actually hit those crits that you're aiming at.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Which is actually why I prefer the fiberglass arrow shaft, because it is the biggest benefit to accuracy, and that still allows me to take a draw time masterwork to bring it down to 576. I think lightweight frames need to get something done to them to really make them better, because honestly, precision frames are better than lightweight frames in every single way. Like what's a 36 millisecond difference, you know what I mean, in the draw time?
Yeah.
It's nothing when lightweight frames deal, I think it's like 86 damage to the body.
Yes.
So you need a 3-shot body or at least one headshot.
That's so much less.
I guess it's fair to say, listen, if you get that headshot, you can get that next body shot, and technically it is a faster time to kill because of the draw time, but you can't always hit every headshot. You know, that's unfeasible even for the best players. You're never going to hit every single headshot no matter what every single time, you know? So having that kind of safety net of precision frames for only a little bit longer draw time, dealing 101 to the body, guaranteeing a double body, you know, that is way more important to me than worrying about just a tiny bit faster draw time. You know, that consistency is better than the minimal benefit that it gives you.
That makes a lot of sense. A lot of the best bow players I know too, it seems like a lot of their playstyles around comboing the bow with something. It's not like they're like a hand cannon, you're, 3-tapping someone at a particular time to kill. Whereas bows, it's like, a lot of times, like you might have already drawn, your shot before you even see someone because you're anticipating it, kind of like hard scoping with a sniper. And then you hit them, then you switch to your other weapon, or you combo with some ability or even just a team shot. So it's not so much about like the pure draw time between shots, because like that's not necessarily how you're using it.
Yeah, and that kind of does lead into why swap builds are mostly used when you're running bows, because bows by themselves are honestly not amazing. And by that, I mean, by the time it takes you to draw that next arrow, hitting that 3-tapping hand cannon, you're already dead. You know, their time to kill is faster than you can even draw that next arrow and hit that next shot, which is why you see swap builds so often if someone is running a bow build. You know, I don't see it happen very often. I think the last time I've seen a swap build or gone against a swap build was a month ago or something. But there are quite a few interesting combos. Biting Winds into Graviton Lance is actually a really, really funny one, because you have that long range from Graviton Lance to be able to clean up those kills easily. But if you got that headshot kill, you spawn the little tracking orbs, and if one of those tracking orbs hits someone, your Biting Winds can, I think, one-shot headshot.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a really fun combo.
Yeah, that's cool. I hope you guys really enjoyed that one. Be sure to go follow Time over on his Twitch channel. And up next, if you want to hear another great PvP interview, I linked my talk with Walla on screen and in the description.